Hey, Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. That's what the shirt says. That's what the website says. I hope you'll check our website out. We're financial advisors that will work with you no matter how much money you have, whether you're just getting started or you're about to retire or in retirement. Doesn't matter. We're going to treat you the same. We're going to help you with the same financial advice, the same weekly classes, the same tips to get your dough straight. We're trying to do things a little differently here, and so far, so good. Well, one of the things I want to do differently is get you to think about how you should be asking questions here, because there's a lot of information, our channel included, right? There's a lot of information out there. There are really 4 questions, and I sort of tease because I have 4 fingers on one hand. That's not Photoshop. I was actually just born with 4 fingers. What makes me special? What makes you remember who I am, hopefully. So anyways, I like to use it. So I do a lot of videos where I give 4 tips, and now you know why. Well, I want you to ask 4 questions. Either if you're already investing, I want you to ask these 4 questions, right? To whoever you're working with. If you're at a different advisor, a different company, wherever you're at, if you're just doing this with some family members or whatever, I want you guys to all ask these questions. If you're thinking about getting started for retirement or just purely investing for the long term, you got to ask 4 questions, all right? So we're going to dive into them today. I won't take too much of your time. First question is probably pretty obvious. What account type should I choose, right? There's a lot of choices out there. You could probably spend all night watching videos on our YouTube channel about the different account types that you could choose. Well, there's no real general answer here. Unfortunately, this one's a little difficult. My best general answer is for you to go to your 401k or whatever your workplace plan is, 457, 403b, whatever you have access to, and you're going to contribute up to the match. If they match, I don't know, 3% or something, if they match 4%, 5%, hopefully 6%, you're going to contribute enough dollars to get up to that number. So if it's a 3% match, then you're going to put in 3% of your salary. Simple as that. When you get fired up with the 401k, they're going to ask you how much money do you want to go into this. You're going to choose 3% because they have a 3% match. If it's a 4%, you'll choose 4%, okay? That's the starting point. Then from there, most of you are going to go over to a Roth IRA, and you're going to put the rest of your money in the Roth IRA. So you're going to end up with 2 accounts here. Now, if you have the Roth 401k at work, that's a great option too. Know that they're not the same. A Roth IRA and a Roth 401k are not technically the same accounts in terms of the flexibility that they offer. From a tax perspective, they are though. So you get the post-tax money, you get a little pre-tax money. If your 401k has the Roth option, then your 3% goes in the Roth 401k, if that makes sense for you. And the 3% that the company matches by default will always go into the pre-tax account. They have to by law. You can't change that. So the first question I want you to ask is, what account should I start with? That's a general answer. Now here's the reason you might want to take this a little bit further. Are you like a lot of people out there a part of this FIRE movement? Well, if you're one of those FIRE movement junkies and you're really into that, you want to retire early, get your dough straight, make the best out of your life, and enjoy those soon-to-be years in retirement, then you want to think about this a little differently. You may have a focus on a Roth IRA. Maybe you don't have a 401k, so you're going to focus on the Roth IRA, and then you might want to focus on maybe an individual account or something like that. The 401k is still good, but here's the thing. You want flexibility because you're probably, if you're a FIRE person, you're probably going to retire before age 59 and a half. Let's just call it 60, right? And so people that want to retire early, you have to take the account that you choose into consideration. You can't just go piling into a traditional IRA. You're going to be severely disappointed when you go to retire. You can't pile into a simple IRA or a SEP IRA, or you're going to be pretty disappointed with all this pre-tax money that you really can't touch without a penalty. So you're going to want to consider those accounts. The 401k, if you are working at your job and you're 55 years old or somewhere between 55 and 59, and you retire, you're fired, or you just quit, you can actually start taking money out, right? So there's no penalty or anything for that. You'll pay taxes, of course. In the Roth IRA, a lot of people front load that, right? So the bulk of what we do is people front loading their Roth IRAs so that they can retire at 51, 53, 55, something like that, and start pulling out their contributions from their Roth IRA. No penalty there, right? No taxes either. You just pull that money out, and they use that to live off of until they can start pulling from other accounts that they may have. So that's consideration. And of course, the taxable account, you can do anything you want in that one. You can take money out, put money in really at any point. So there's no real issue there. Oh, all right, let's go back over here. All right, so once you have the account type chosen, think about this for yourself. Don't think about this generally. Think about for yourself. What are you shooting for? Go with the accounts that achieve your goal, not what you read online, not what you see in other videos that I talk about. Go with what fits your goal. From there, the next thing you're going to ask is, what should I invest in, right? What should those investments be? The primary thing you're going to focus on is whatever your goal is the starting point, right? If your goal is to retire early with a set number of dollars, if you have a particular income in mind that you're shooting for, then that's where you're going to start. Don't worry about what the choices are out there, and there's a million of them, right? Don't worry about what you see about different ETFs, mutual funds, or whatever. Worry about yourself. This is time for you to be selfish and demand from whoever you're working with to give you what you need for your goal. Not what they think is best or whatever. They need to know what your goal is, and you should be investing in those investments. If it happens to be a big old basket of dividend-paying stocks, because that's who you are and that fits your goal and everything, go for it, right? Nothing wrong with that at all. If it happens to be that the Dave Ramsey funds fit your goal, go for it. Nothing wrong with that at all. We just did a video actually to sort of promote what his funds and talk about those different funds and whether that might be a good fit for you by showing all the data, right? All the historical performance of every one of those funds. So you really have to be selfish here and only invest in what you need. If your investments require a lot of risk, right? You're a super growth investor and you need a big basket of growth stocks, growth ETFs, and you want as much growth as possible, okay, that's you, right? Make sure you get set up for you, please. If that's the only thing you take from this video, make sure you get what you need in terms of the investments, not what somebody else is trying to sell you. You can actually see all of our portfolios on our website, and you'll notice none of them are the same. They are ranked from most aggressive to most conservative, and you're going to fit somewhere in between. You're very likely going to end up with a few different funds there so that we can really dial into your goal. This is not like one of those scenarios where I say, you pick this fund and that's a cookie cutter option and you do that. No, no. We want to invest exactly and precisely for your goal. So please be selfish in this respect and make sure you're investing in what you need for your goal. Didn't have anything else to write for that one. Sorry. Okay, the third thing you want to do is, a question you want to ask is, how much money should I be investing? This is a big one, man. This is super, super big for people. How much of your dough needs to be going into these accounts? Think about it. At this point, you would have figured out what accounts you should be putting money in, what investments should go in those accounts. Now we need to know how many dollars. Are you like me? I'm like a millennial. Am I a millennial? I'm a millennial, I guess. I'm 37 years old. I'm a millennial. So millennials, Gen Y, Gen X, we're like DIY people. Have you ever had to fix something and you said, I'm just going to YouTube that thing, I'm going to do this myself, knock it out on a Saturday and have this done? If you ever visit us here in this studio, it's pretty fascinating. There's a lot going on here. I built every last piece of it, right? Yeah, I had my mom like hold some boards and stuff while I nailed them in, but I came up with everything and built it myself. Why? Because we're the kind of people that we don't want to ask for help. I have friends that are much more experienced at this than me in terms of building stuff or doing all this stuff, but I just want it done my way, right? I just want to do my thing. And well, that's great when you're trying to build something that's in your head, but when it comes to your retirement investments, you might need a little bit of help, okay? So when it comes to this, how much should you invest? Please don't use just, don't say, hey Siri, how much should I invest for retirement? Go through and be real specific. I've done a great number of videos on this for people that are 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 years old and older than that to kind of show examples of how much you should invest, more particularly how much you should be putting away. Now here's the key. When it comes to how much you should invest, I want you to invest only the minimum, right? Don't go crazy here and try to invest to beat your friend, right? Don't save more because some other advisor is telling you, you better put more money away, right? Don't do that, right? Know what the goal is. This should be non-negotiable, right? You, your advisor, your brokerage firm, whoever you're working with should know your number, right? They should know that you're on track to save that number, or if not, maybe be pushing you to get to that number. We get it. Things happen. You got to take a break for a while. But there should be no question about how much you should have to save. Every customer that comes through the door here, we give them a sort of a simple questionnaire to start, and then I geek out on it. I do every single one of them where I go, okay, if you're shooting for this goal, this many dollars needs to go into your account. You need to raise that by 3% a year or 2% a year, whatever. You're going to end up with this much money. If you choose this goal, this is how much you need to put in. Those are goals that people give me. I don't force that on people, right? Save the exact amount of money that you need to save. It's all quantifiable these days. There's no guessing. And unfortunately, I see article after article where they say the younger investor, they know they're supposed to put money away, and they are in record numbers. They're putting enough, they're saving for retirement. That wasn't always like that. The problem is they don't know how much they're supposed to save. They don't know if they're saving enough, and so they probably aren't saving enough, because who puts more money away than they have to? Do you put more money in your savings account than you have to? No. You figure, oh, I need, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of emergency savings, and when you get there, you're done, right? Like, you're not saving more money than you have to, so don't invest more money than you have to. Please, know your number, go through it. If you're one of our customers here, of course, I'll work it through with you as your life changes. If you want to join us here, that's the second thing we do. We get you invested, number one. Number two, we start working on that number, because that's really, 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 really important for me. All right. Last question I want you to ask. Really, you're going to ask this question as you get older. You're going to say, hey, when do I change the investments? Right? So we start down this path when I'm 25, 35. I can be aggressive. I can swing for the fences. When do I change the investments, right? I don't always want to be super aggressive. If I get close to my goal, because I know which accounts I'm supposed to use, I know what I'm supposed to invest in to meet my goal, I know how much money I'm supposed to put away, so I know my goal. But what happens when I get close? When you get within 5 to 7 years, depending on the market and the way the markets are behaving, right now you're going to say 7 years. When you get within 7 years of your goal, you're going to have a conversation with whoever you're working with and say, should we be as aggressive, right? Are we close? We're almost to the goal. Should we focus more on passive income at this point? Should I stop investing in retirement accounts and maybe go do something to build a business or add to my business, get it ready to sell if that's my goal? I'm 7 years away from retirement. Should I be positioning my business to sell? Should I maybe consider a couple rental properties? Should I consider maybe investing in something else, passive real estate or something like that? Maybe, right? At that point, the conversation needs to happen again, right? We're getting close. We can't afford major market downturns. We can't afford major meltdowns. We don't want them. We could probably afford them, but we don't want them. And so you want to have that conversation. When do I change my investments? Another time you may want to change your investments is when things happen that you just didn't see, like just bad things happen to you, right? If you're 25 years old and you're watching this, something bad's going to happen to you. I hate to tell you. Something unexpected is going to happen. And if you have an emergency fund, you're going to blow through it. It's going to knock it out. You'll be so surprised how fast and how liquid your emergency savings seems. Well, at that point, when those things happen, you break your leg and lose your job at the same time. Those are the times where you call your advisor, you go online to your account, you go into your 401k and you say, stop everything, right? Go real slow. I want conservative investments. I may need that money. Right? I don't know how life's going to pan out for the next year or two, so I don't want to have aggressive investments and then the markets tank right at the time that I may need all that cash. So you call that advisor and you say, listen, this happens all the time. People call up and they go, you'll never believe it. My job transferred me to another state. I moved to another state. They fired me 2 months later. Now I'm in this new state. I'm renting a property I can't afford. I just got all these moving expenses. I haven't been reimbursed for them yet. I need to take out some money from my account. Cool, right? As that starts happening, or even if you said, I may need to take money out of my account, the first thing I do is I'm dead inside, right? I'm absolutely dead inside. I'm obviously sympathetic to your position, but at the end of the day, my job is to control your dough, right? Every one of my customers, I treat your dollars as if they're my dollars. And so when you tell me something bad happens, my mind, I'm already clicking on the computer going, hey, I know something bad's happened. I'm sorry to hear that. Let me cut you off. I'm going to change your investments. We're going to go super conservative because it sounds like you may need some of the money in your account. And if that's the case, I don't want to have to tell you that it just lost 30% of its value because the market's tanked, right? So that's another time to think about changing your investments. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, maybe hit the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate you doing that. We will be back later to do the Closing Beats, a show I do every day on the stock market. And I promise every day to teach you something new that maybe you've never heard of before, give you some historical statistic or something that you can take with you to make you just a little bit smarter about your dough, about your investments or something. So I hope you'll join us for that. It's live on our YouTube channel, Jazz Wealth Managers, of course, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great rest of your day.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.